Just as Project 2025 foretold, this second administration has already shown itself to be much more than a conservative approach to policy and politics, but a full-blown gutting of the American system of government and a dangerous and radical consolidation of power into the executive. And straight from the pages of Project 2025 is where we find the recommendation for a move that Donald Trump's EPA administrator announced this week, page 425 to be precise. It is not, as you might have guessed, a conservative approach to protecting the environment. It's not even a conservative approach to deregulation. It's a full-blown gutting of the very basis by which the EPA has been allowed to regulate greenhouse gas emissions. Trump's EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, teased the move on a podcast by noting that, as he understands it, the, quote, real threat, end quote, to Americans is not carbon pollution, but the rules that limit how much of it can be released into the air by cars and trucks. And then, as if on cue, appearing at a truck dealership in Indiana, Zeldin announced that the Trump administration would revoke not just rules around CO2 pollution, but the underlying scientific judgment that forms the legal basis for those rules. It's known as the endangerment finding. In 2007, the Supreme Court ruled that the EPA, under the Clean Air Act, can regulate greenhouse gas emissions if the agency determines that they endanger the well-being of Americans. That determination was the endangerment finding. It was issued in late 2009. The EPA's endangerment finding itself, it's really straightforward. It's a scientifically based finding that, quote, the current and projected concentrations of 6 key greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide, and methane, threaten the public health and welfare of current and future generations. The endangerment finding itself does not impose any rules or regulations on pollution, but it has served as the legal basis for both the Obama and the Biden administrations to set limits on greenhouse gas emissions in automotives and other industries, a crucial step in combating the worst effects of climate change. So the Trump administration is not trying to undo the regulations. It's actually revoking the scientific and legal finding that make those and any future regulations even possible. It's not finalized yet. That'll come later this year, and it will be sure to draw legal challenges. Environmental groups like the Natural Resources Defense Council said they plan to take the EPA to court if their concerns are not addressed. David Doniger, senior attorney for the NRDC, told the Washington Post, quote, you're asking the American people who are living through wildfires, floods, hurricanes, heat domes, and so on, not to believe what they're going through, not to believe their own eyes. Joining me now is the former Democratic Governor Jay Inslee of Washington. He was a 2020 presidential candidate. He's the co-author of the book Apollo's Fire, Igniting America's Clean Energy Economy. Governor, good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
One never knows in this administration what's serious and what's not. How serious is this determination that the endangerment finding is not relevant and shouldn't underpin our regulations around CO2 emissions?
Well, it's really simple. Repealing the endangerment finding endangers Americans' health big time. And this is not debatable. You can't tell the people who lost loved ones in Texas flooding, or the people whose towns have burned down in Washington state, or the children who have asthma, or the people who are watching our forests die because of this. This is a danger to human health. And this is not a matter of policy. It's simply a matter of science. Science has shown conclusively that this endangers human health through pollution in our lungs and all the adverse climatic events we're experiencing it. And it's sort of like he's trying to repeal the law of gravity. He can't do that. He may be president, but you can't repeal the law of gravity. And you can't repeal the laws of physics that show that this is heating the earth. We're experiencing more floods, rising sea levels, asthma, forest fires, you name it. This is a matter of science. Listen, the next thing I expect for them is to order NASA not to show any pictures of the earth showing it's round. Because
right, I was going to say, this is flat earth stuff, situation. Right? There aren't really reasonable discussions about what's causing the Earth to warm. But the idea that there's nothing wrong with carbon emissions, that they're not going to cause scientifically and medically proven damage, I can't believe we're actually having this conversation in 2025. Like, real people are having this conversation. What is this driven by? Is this driven by the promise that Donald Trump made at a campaign event to oil companies that if you give me $1 billion, I'll make it easier for you?
Well, it certainly is not. I'll tell you what is not. Is not built on a premise that he wants to increase production of energy, because he's basically using this and about 24 other tools to kneecap the ability of Americans to get access to clean, renewable energy. You know, we can produce enormous energy in solar and wind and advanced batteries, but he's trying to kill those industries. Now, why is he trying to do that? It's pretty clear. He wants to take care of his friends, his political friends in the fossil fuel industry who gave him hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's promised to deliver. So he's delivered for his buddies to produce more pollution. You can't overstate the consequences of this move. He really has turned the Environmental Protection Agency into the Environmental Pollution Agency, and he's done it to help his cronies in these industries. That's the only other explanation is that simply he got scared by seeing a windmill when he's a 5-year-old and the phobia has taken over.
Wild. I mean, the way he was carrying on about windmills with the European Commission head last week, it's like, what a windmill ever do to you? Like, he talked about how they kill us and then they last 7 years and then the fibers in them wreck the soil and that they cost more to produce energy than anything else. And then he said the magical words, which was mind-blowing. He said, energy shouldn't be subsidized. It's like, we've been subsidizing the oil industry forever.
Yeah, they just passed a big bill that had big, beautiful, huge subsidies for oil and gas industry and the billionaires who profit from it. And it is hurting us. Listen, this is clearly scientifically hurting the health of Americans, but it's also hurting the economy because we're turning over these clean energy industries to China. This is like a pro-China thing to give them access to all of the technology and development of the advanced batteries, the fusion energy that we're developing. Yep. It's not just our physical health, it's our economic health as well. So we've got to rise up and fight it. You know, we have had some successes. We will see him in court. I believe that we will win in court because even this Supreme Court, I don't believe, can ignore the law of gravity and that the earth is not flat. That's exactly what we're talking about here. So we ought to win this.
That's what I like talking about to you, Governor. You are an eternal optimist, even in the face of nonsense. We appreciate your time. The former Democratic Governor Jay Inslee of Washington, head of the Accountability Project at Climate Power.